It's all about compassion, all about the passion, all about the lyrics touching minds everlasting. The rapture, attraction, giving hearts to the heartless. Cause being an artist is my only catharsis. All about.
Hello and welcome to Inside the Six with Ian and Thomas. We're just doing a little podcast here, talk about soccer. A little bit of a different week than we usually do. It was FA Cup instead of Premier League this week, and a couple of big moments for a lot of teams. Being able to get through to the next round of the FA Cup because it is winding down towards the end. I think it's going to quarterfinals now.
Yeah, March 17th.
I think it's round of 16. Or no, quarterfinals is round of 8. Wow. Yeah, just a couple games. We also had some Champions League action going on. There was some big news with those games, and then we'll cover the second half of this round of the Champions League next week. As of recording this, we have for FA Cup. I think personally, the big game for me was definitely the Chelsea game. Chelsea Hull City.
Yeah.
Just because, as a Chelsea fan, Chelsea needed a boost. They needed something to pick themselves back up. And William definitely came up and he stepped up and was a huge component in that. And then also for the first time ever, Olivier Giroud gets his first goal for the Blues. And it obviously wasn't like a game winner or anything, but it was definitely
absolutely
important for him, to get on the board for his new club. And I know we've said it before, we're not big fans of him. I'm kind of starting to grow on him. I think the biggest problem was Arsenal.
Well, I hope
just
so.
didn't mesh.
He's
and I think he's finally starting to mesh with Chelsea.
He's never been my favorite. And he scores goals. I mean, don't get me wrong. I mean, the guy scores goals. I don't know. There's just, and it's a personal thing. I have no idea what it is. I can't put my finger on, why I don't like Olivier Giroud. I just don't. But I'm glad to see he got a goal. I mean, that's what he's paid to do. So yeah, good for Chelsea, and yeah, they had a big win. 4-0 over Hull City. The big match for me, definitely Wigan and City. Wigan took it. That's all there is to it. City's out. No quadruple for City this year. Oh, you hadn't seen that? Yeah.
Wow.
Listen, Manchester City did absolutely everything in that match except score. I mean, here's just I got some of the stats. They had I wrote 80% possession. It was like 82% possession. They had 15-0 corners. They had 29 shots. They had 766 to 100 and something passes and came up goalless. They did absolutely everything except score a goal. And Wigan scored a goal, and it was a really nice goal. Did you see the goal? I mean, it was great. I still have no idea.
Ridiculous.
I have no idea what Kyle Walker was thinking when he let that ball run. I guess he assumed John Stones was behind him where he was supposed to be, but it was a pretty big failure for the back four of Manchester City. And yeah, I mean, he turned, he let the ball run, and the Wigan striker was right there, carried it in 1-on-1 and put it in the net. So pretty goal, and you saw it coming. And at that point, all they had to do was park the bus.
I believe I touched on it. Last time.
Yeah.
City's actually had a spell of bad games against them. The last time they played them, and this was a couple years ago, was FA Cup for the 2013-2014 season, and Wigan took that one too. The 2012-2013 FA Cup, the final, Wigan beat them 1-0. I mean, in the past 4 games that Wigan has played City, they have beat them 3 of the 4 times, and all 3 of those times have been in the FA Cup. So maybe this is just Wigan's tournament.
Yeah, they're League One. They're not even in the Championship.
They're not in the
They're in League One. They're
not in other major tournaments. Exactly.
Yeah, but
they come in. Other teams like
I actually watched a press conference a couple days ago with.
What are we gonna do?
And he said we are taking this match very seriously. This team comes to play every single time, and we're anticipating that. So I mean, I don't think it's City said, "Hey, we're Manchester City. We don't have to worry about Wigan. They're League One." They went in with the mindset we're going to have to play against these guys. It just didn't go well for them. The Wigan keeper, had his share of saves, but at the same time, City just did not have the finishers. They didn't have that bloodthirst in the final third. Raheem Sterling wasn't there. Sergio Aguero missed every shot he touched. And it wasn't even like he forced saves. I mean, he just missed. He was not having a good day. But I mean, just the stats on that. I mean, you would have thought the game, like I said, 80 something percent possession, 15-0 on corners, 29 shots to 5, I think it was. You would have thought that Manchester City beat the crap out of them. But the scoreline says City's gone.
You've got to think maybe, because they did, just play Basel in Champions League. Maybe they were tired. Maybe they didn't get the rest in, because they only had 2 days in between matches. I mean, that's not a lot of recovery time at this level.
And that's one of the things that
you got to allow them to have that
recovery. Like, listen, we're just tired.
So I mean, I think
we're playing a lot of high level football, and we're tired. So.
Exactly. I think, and I hate to see this because I would have liked to have seen City win, the quadruple, win all these tournaments they're in. I think it's going to be good for them, and I think it's going to be devastating for other teams that they're playing. Because it's one less thing that they have on their minds. It's one less tournament that they have to use their stamina for, which gives them the time that they need for Champions League. Obviously, Premier League they've got rounded up already.
I think so.
And I believe they're still in the EFL Cup. I mean, those are just things that I don't think that they're going to stand like other teams are going to stand a chance.
Well, and I don't disagree.
I think it's.
I mean, because exactly like you said, that's one less game they're going to have to play, which is going to give them, some more, like you said, the stamina. They're going to have a little bit more endurance. They're going to be a little bit more rested. I mean, physically as well as mentally.
Exactly.
I mean, playing a lot of those big level games over and over and over, I mean, it's going to take its toll. I mean, these guys are world-class athletes. They're in top physical condition, but they're still going to get tired physically, and they're going to get tired mentally. I mean, it's a lot of concentration, to play at that level over and over and over.
Especially with Premier League, the reason we enjoy it so much is because it's such a hard league to play in. It's a grueling, long season. A lot of teams can't handle sometimes. And I think a lot of teams that you used to see in the top tiers, especially like Everton this season, is like one of the biggest examples. They're usually seen at the top, and they're kind of struggling this season. And I think just the amount of games that English Premier League teams play is a lot. It's a lot of games, and it's a big push on those players because there's a lot of top players in that league as well. But staying in England,
that was huge.
Big game for your team. Huge game for your team. I remember talking with you as it was going on. Like every time they'd score, you'd freak out and text me like 300 times.
I was, I'm glad they got the result they did. I was really, and I think they were anticipating too, a much more competitive match. And Porto's not a slouch team. And I mean, and they were at home. They were at home. They were on their home field. And
no, they're not.
It made a big difference with.
Exactly.
Usually, it makes a big difference when you have the home field advantage, and it just did not work out for Porto. I watched the match. Thank you, Facebook Live, for streaming that. It was fun to watch. But Sadio Mane back in the goals with a hat trick and brilliant goals. But I couldn't believe that it ended up 5-0. And you could just see after the second or third one, you could see the players from Porto. I mean, heads down, shoulders slouched. They did not have an answer for what was happening to them, and it was almost sad.
I remember you texting me after like the third goal. I remember you texting me.
They did.
I remember you texting me after like the third goal. You said Porto looked lost. And I think this is a fantastic morale booster for Liverpool, because obviously they lost one of their big names this transfer window in Philippe Coutinho. I think a lot of fans were worried. We just lost one of our top strikers. What are we gonna do? And I think bringing in Mo Salah at the beginning of the season has really helped them advance.
Yeah, sure. I'll talk about Mo Salah
we'll talk
all
about
day.
him later because I'd like to. But you've still got Bobby Firmino, you still got Mo Salah, you still got Sadio Mane, and as long as they can stay healthy, I think Liverpool's definitely a huge threat in any league that they're in as well. They're obviously this was just the first leg of the Champions League. But, if Porto wants to come back, to have to score 6 goals, at least 5, and take it to penalties.
Right.
And not allow...
And that's not going to happen at Anfield, I don't think.
Not allow Liverpool to score anything. Yeah. It's going to be difficult. I think this one's already over. Oh, no, I don't think it will either. This set of Champions League games was actually... There was 2 battle of what I like to call Battle of the Giants. The first one was Juventus-Tottenham, which was a fantastic game, in my opinion. Back and forth the entire time, and it ended up 2-2. I'm excited to see... personally, I'm rooting for Juventus with that one, and I know, I'm supposed to say unbiased, but just as a goalkeeper, I'm a huge
he's outstanding.
Gigi Buffon fan, and I will always be a Gigi Buffon fan. He's in his 40s now, I believe, and he's still playing top level football with a top level team. And he's always inches away from trophies, right. And you gotta feel for the guy. He won't be playing in the World Cup this summer. He's never won Champions League. You gotta feel for the guy just because he's worked so hard his entire life.
Yeah.
He's never really won those major trophies that every soccer player looks for. I'm excited to see the second leg of that game. Because obviously you're gonna have to have a decider in the second game. I'm excited to see it. I'm hoping Juventus pulls out on top. But other than that, there's only one other game that happened this week for Champions League.
That was a fun match to watch.
And it was a big one with Real Madrid PSG. Two top teams, 2 top players in Ronaldo and Neymar. And obviously, good on Real Madrid. Finally, obviously, they've kind of gotten back to their winning ways. I think this was their first real test because they struggled a little bit at the beginning of the season. This is their first big test to see, can they still play at the top level? Do they still have the talent? And obviously they do. Ronaldo's still a fantastic player, arguably one of the best players in the world. I still think Messi is, but obviously Neymar is another top player, elite. And actually, speaking of Neymar, I saw something. I can't remember who said it. I think it was Thierry Henry. Came out and said, Neymar left Barcelona to escape Messi's shadow. And he's like, the only way to escape Messi's shadow is to play a different sport. And I think it's the same with Ronaldo, just because they've been playing so long.
Yeah.
Both Ronaldo and Messi, they are the 2 giants right now, and those are
Neymar's
soccer,
definitely in that list.
You
got guys like Thierry Henry who come to my mind. You got Ronaldinho.
You don't really
to my mind. But yeah, most certainly the two guys who are active right now. I mean, Ronaldinho just retired within the last couple of months, just retired from football. But yeah, when you talk about the big names, and everybody recognizes they're household names now. Leo Messi, everybody knows who Leo Messi is, whether they know that he's the best player in the world or one of the best players in the world who plays for Barcelona. They know he's a soccer player anyway. And the same with Cristiano Ronaldo. They know Zidane, they know CR7 for sure.
Exactly.
And but yeah, it was a good match. Real Madrid, when I watched the match, seemed like they were maybe a little out of their element, maybe just a tad in over their head. I mean, they pulled off a 3-1 win. It wasn't brilliant play. It wasn't the that quick slash flashy soccer that you normally think of with Real Madrid. It was good. It wasn't that really brilliant, flashy kind of play.
Exactly. The play that they had last season when they dominated everybody. Because obviously they're the reigning champions at the moment. But I think this is, so far Champions League has been fantastic to watch this season. Obviously coming up this week, as of recording this, there's 4 games to be played for the second half of the first. Bayern Munich versus Besiktas, Shakhtar versus Roma, Sevilla and Man United, and the one I'm most excited for is Chelsea-Barcelona. I'm a huge Chelsea fan, as you probably figured out.
Yeah, that's going to be a good match.
A huge Barcelona fan.
Yeah, it's going to be a good match. I mean,
I'm not going to pick a team. I won't do it. And there's a lot of news surrounding it these past couple days. Especially, Eden Hazard has come out and said, we are Chelsea, we are the champions of England, and we will fight. He's basically said, yeah, we understand, Barcelona's a big team, but so are we. There's nothing about, we've beaten them before, we can do it again. Which is how you got to come into it. You got to come in, these are giants of the game, so are we, and we're going to fight to the death. We will do everything we can to win this game. Again, I'm very excited to see that. I will not choose a side. I'm just hoping for a good game. Really, because I was actually hoping they wouldn't get drawn.
But it's going to make for a really exciting.
I was very unfortunate with that.
One way or the other, it's going to be a good match.
But
I mean, with 2 powerhouse teams coming together.
Oh, absolutely.
Chelsea, been rattled a little bit in the last couple of weeks in Premier League, but coming off a big win for FA Cup and now coming into Barcelona. Actually, they're playing at Stamford Bridge today. It's going to be an exciting match. So yeah.
Yes, they are. And I'm hoping their recent run of wins is helpful. Because obviously to lose those matches against those smaller teams, it's a hard hit to their morale, but it's also you've got to, if you look at their schedule, their upcoming schedule, you've got huge teams coming up. You've got the Barcelona at Chelsea. You've got Chelsea at Man United, Chelsea at Man City. Those are the top 2 teams in the Premier League right now. They get kind of a break with Crystal Palace, and then they're back in Barcelona.
Right.
That's a huge, shift down, shift right back up for a team like that. We were talking about how grueling it's going to be. It's going to be grueling. It's going to hurt.
It's actually,
and, they're going to have to push through it, and I think they're definitely strong enough to do that.
FA Cup, Champions League. There's actually some chatter right now that the winter, there might be a longer winter break for Premier League. They're talking about players just getting worn out. A shorter summer break and a winter break. Instead of they cram so many games in around Boxing Day and New Year's. They're talking about giving these players a little bit of a break, like a week or 2 break.
They do
over the holiday season. I look forward to Boxing Day matches. I mean, everybody plays on Boxing Day, so I got 10 Premier League matches to watch, in one day, and I think that's great for me.
Yeah.
But giving them a break so I can see more exciting football, and these guys are getting injured, especially toward the end of the season. They're getting tired. Their body's starting to break down a little bit. It's not the healthiest environment for them. So yeah, I'm not against giving them a break, so I can see, the big name stars playing more, instead of them, being on the bench, battling an injury, or struggling to come back from an injury. Right. Sure.
And even teams like Barcelona have come out and said they need breaks. Messi came out recently and said, I need a break. Like, I can't keep playing, these high level games. And they give him a break when he needs it. He's Messi. And I'm not saying he has control of the team or anything, but he obviously has.
And if they're smart, they'll listen to him.
A big influence on the team. I'd like to go back to the. I'd like to go back to the FA Cup as well, because there's gonna have to be two replays coming up on the 27th and the 28th of February. You got Swansea and Sheffield Wednesday. I think that's gonna be a good game to watch. And then another game I'm really excited about is Tottenham against Rochdale. Tottenham, if they want to stay in Champions League.
They had that match in the bag for like an 88th minute.
I mean, that's another game.
Yeah, they were up.
And you've got teams. You got a schedule. You're going against Juventus. That's one more game that now you have to play. You've got to use that energy instead of getting the win the first time and not having to play that. That's a smaller break you get. That's more
another
training.
Chance for injury.
That's more energy you have to expend. To move on in the tournament if you really want that. Exactly. It seems like it's not going to be very helpful to them in the long run. But after that, those two replays, whoever wins those games will be playing each other starting March 7th. And it's going to be Manchester United against Brighton Hove Albion, who, if I remember correctly, they just played each other in the EFL Cup.
They did just play each other. I don't have my notes.
No, it was Premier League. They just... Yeah. The 25th of November. And they'll be playing each other again in May. So, that's, 3 games right after each other that they're playing each other. And then you got Chelsea against Leicester and Wigan against Southampton. Hopefully Wigan can continue their streak. I guess... Theoretically, they have a little bit of an easier game going against Southampton.
Yeah, and they've already beaten Bournemouth and West Ham.
Man City, then how they can beat anybody.
So going up against other teams, Southampton. I think it's going to be a good match. I really do. I think it's going to be fun to watch. I think all of those are going to be good to watch. A funny thing about the Sheffield Swansea match, both of the managers. After the match, during their post-match interviews, both of them declared the fact that neither one of them wanted a replay. And they hope that in the future, FA Cup matches, if they come to a draw instead of an automatic replay, they will have the option to go straight to penalties to decide the winner. It was 90 minutes.
Wow! Just because it was a brutal game.
Had anything happening. And both managers decided that they didn't want to do that again. So they actually they opened the plea publicly. Hey, like in the future, if we come down to a draw, instead of doing an automatic replay, if we decide between both managers and the referees, can we just go straight to penalties and call it a day? So.
Which is how it is, just from personal experience in, at least in North Carolina, high school soccer. In non-league play, if it ends in a draw, obviously it's not league play, so it can end in a draw and be okay. the managers can, both the coaches can come together. If they want to do penalties, they can do that. As long as the ref's okay with it. If the ref's, okay, yeah, I'll stay a little bit longer, do extra time and penalties. Sure, why not? I think that's smart. I think that's, a good idea to do that. I think it's a good idea to, try and get it over with because, like I said, that's an extra game that they have to play now. Obviously with teams like that, they're not worrying about much else, just their leagues. But, with bigger teams like Tottenham, that's an extra game added to their schedule that's going to affect the rest of their season. And it's a huge risk for a lot of people. But I think with that, it's all the real news that really went on this week. There wasn't much happening because there wasn't Premier League. There's just FA Cup and Champions League. I would like to first off give a shout out to our good friend Macrophonic MC. He is the one that does our intro outro music. And a special shout out to Owen. Me and him worked really hard. You guys, we've kind of advertised it a little bit.
Yes.
But we really hard on this design. We've got our shirts now. I got my hoodie the other day, and I absolutely love it.
Yeah.
I know, Ian, you got your shirt, and you love it, and we've just the people we've talked to who've gotten them said they like them as well. Me and Owen are working on more designs, just because we enjoy doing this kind of stuff, and we're hoping to get those out soon. Again, if you guys have any comments, any constructive criticism, we would definitely appreciate that. We are working on getting newer equipment, more updated equipment to have the videos a little bit better quality, a little better sound quality.
Trying to step up our game a little bit for y'all.
It makes it a little bit more enjoyable for us, and it makes it better content for you guys. Yeah. And I think with that, we're gonna leave it off. Thanks for tuning in. We'll see y'all next week.
It's all about compassion, all about the passion, all about the lyrics touching minds everlasting. The rapture, attraction, giving hearts to the heartless. Cause being an artist is my only catharsis. All about compassion, all about the passion, all about the lyrics touching minds everlasting. The rapture, attraction, giving hearts to the heartless. Cause being an artist is my only catharsis.